Folks, the only problem with this is James Madison saying gradual and silent. The encroachments are no longer silent, nor are they gradual. They are bold right in your face. And because of that, this Tea Party movement has sprung up all across the country. People are waking up, people are standing, and we are not going to take it anymore, and I love it, and I thank you so much that I could be a part of this with you. I love this, a feeling that I get from you. See, really, technically, physically, I'm kind of tired from this past 2 weeks traveling. But I don't feel it at all when I see you. When I'm able to look in your faces and to see the same thing I saw in people in Wisconsin's eyes and faces, I see the same thing in your face. The same thing I saw in Sarasota, Florida, I see in you today. The desire in your eyes to just be left alone. And do you know what it is when government leaves you alone? It's called freedom. Right? Now, one other quote, and we're going to wrap this up here real quick. On the first page of the book, it talks about how we are now embracing the Marxist platform in America. And then I quote Thomas Jefferson, who said, "When all government shall be drawn to Washington as the center of all power, it will render powerless the checks provided and become as venal and oppressive as the government from which we separated." End quote. The question remains with that I would like to ask all of you. To whom can the people turn for peace, safety, and protection when government becomes venal and oppressive? How about the person who works for you, who is part of the executive branch? You vote for him every 4 years, and he promised you in God's name that he would uphold, defend, protect, and obey the United States Constitution. For you, he said that. Now, let's read the last little ruling, the last order of the court in my case from Justice Scalia, what he says to the federal government. The federal government, he said, in Mack Prince versus United States, may neither issue directives requiring the states to address particular problems, nor command the state's officers or those of their political subdivisions to administer or enforce a federal regulatory program. It matters not whether policy making is involved, and no case-by-case weighing of the burdens or benefits is necessary. Such commands are fundamentally incompatible with our constitutional system of dual sovereignty. End quote. Folks, do you think you could use that to benefit yourselves and your views? You now have a Supreme Court decision that totally makes our right-wing nut statements totally true and totally vindicated. We believe in this. Now, one other thing, one key point, that case where he says case-by-case weighing of the burdens or benefits, you know where that came from? It came from my case. And the lawyer for the federal government at the federal district court, the only place I testified, none of the sheriffs testified after the first level. After that, it's just transcripts for the other judges, okay? So when we went to the Supreme Court, we did not testify. Each side got a half hour to close the argument, and then that was it. But Judge Roll heard this and said something I'll never forget. This is why the case-by-case weighing of the burdens or benefits is in there. Because he said this, she goes, the lawyer for the federal government goes, "Well, Your Honor, why, of course this is a good deal. The Brady bill is fantastic. In the first 4 months alone, we have already denied access to 250,000 felons from getting handguns all across this country." And he stopped her and he goes, "Counselor, do not try to pretend in this courtroom that your statistical analysis somehow equates to constitutionality." So when you read that, remember that statement that Judge Roll stated in there. And my favorite quote from this whole decision, it's in here. It's in here twice. It's on the very back of the book right here. You see it? Okay, good. It says this, but the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. Don't you wish every politician knew and understood that principle?
Yes.
Look at all the government that would have to disappear immediately if we followed that principle. But the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. It divides power among sovereigns and among branches of government precisely so that we may resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as an expedient solution to the crisis of the day. End quote. A crisis of the day. What's the mantra of this current administration? Never let a good crisis go to waste. The ones especially that they create so they can get the masses to go along with whatever they want. Now, if you'll recall, and I'm going to come out here a little bit closer to you. Remember that police training I went to with Dr. Skousen? Remember when I was converted to the Constitution? It's something I'll never forget. And when I was there, he had all 240 of us big tough cops get up, and he taught us a little kindergarten exercise. And I've nicknamed that America's Political Prayer. And remember when he challenged me to teach these things to my children? And I have. All 5 of them know how to do this. And now I'm teaching it to my grandchildren. Remember? My oldest one, my oldest grandchild, just barely turned 4 last month because she was born on the 4th of July. And her name's Liberty. Liberty Ladon Hart. And now I've taught this to her. She knows it. And I want you to know that this comes directly from my heart to yours. I dedicate it to you. I dedicate it to the Founding Fathers. I dedicate it to Dr. Skousen and his memory. God bless his soul. And more importantly, I dedicate it to all America, to the Founding Fathers who made all this possible for us today. And I close with this everywhere I go all across the country, saying the same thing I'm saying to you now. This is America's political prayer. And remember, I learned this at police training. It goes like this. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And that's the eagle. Long may she be free. Thank you.
Great job, Sheriff Mack. Okay, the program isn't over. We're going to have a nice song. We want everybody to sing coming up, God Bless America, in a few minutes, but we do want to thank